Hi, I'm Dave, and this is Points of Interest Across America. Cue intro. This is Points of Interest Across America with your host, David Lyons. And now, here's Dave. Hello, folks. This week's installment brings us to the village of Yantic, located in Norwich, Connecticut. Home of the Yantic Volunteer Fire Company. More about that in a moment. Now, the village of Yantic gets its name from being located on the banks of the mighty Yantic River in Connecticut. And it was founded back in the 1600s, a time when people literally lived their entire lives within the same 100 or 200 foot square area. You were born on the family homestead, raised on the family homestead, you worked the family homestead, you might have gone 100 feet in one direction to go to church, 100 feet in the other direction for something else, and then you died at the family homestead and were buried in the cemetery about 100 feet from the family homestead. And that's about it. There's the church. This was the Yantic wool mill. And that was operational from 1600 to much later. It employed everybody, and it closed in 1988. And nothing's happened since. Of course, since the mill closed, everybody bought one of those newfangled automobiles and now works at Foxwoods as a dealer. The pandemic was tough. It eliminated the only bakery that was here. It eliminated the only post office that was here. So things are rough in Yantic now. This street brings you to many of the aforementioned homesteads, the subject of a future video. Again, the former Yantic wool mill. Now, coming up on our right is the Yantic Volunteer Fire Department, recently built to a very grand stature by federal grants, but this always was a fire station. It was here to protect the mill, because as you know, if you had a mill in the 1600s, it caught fire every single day. Now, crossing the street here are railroad tracks currently operated by the New England Central Railway, and this brought raw materials to the mill and finished goods from the mill. And this structure likely would have been related to freight, both in and out. This Cadillac would not have been here in 1600. Back in the 1900s, children would be frolicking in a field like this. Of course, after 2000, children forgot how to frolic. Although there may be a couple of hoodlums here now. And this is a old bombed out bus from the nearby William Backus Hospital. They probably don't even know it's here. If anybody would like to call the William Backus Hospital and tell them one of their old buses is deteriorating in downtown Yantic, by all means. As promised, the mighty Yantic River. Hundreds of people per year drown trying to cross the mighty Yantic River. And they underestimate just how dangerous and powerful it is. This is Season 1, Episode 1 of Points of Interest Across America. In each episode, we'll examine a new point of interest, somewhere between the East Coast and the West Coast. That's where all the wool workers took their lunch break. Another shot of the train tracks, fire station. There's a rumor that the Yantic Volunteer Fire Department will present day respond to emergencies beyond that of the closed up mill, although that may be just rumor, conjecture, and not actually substantiated. You're in luck. The former Laziza Bakery can be yours. And then you too can deliver, cater, and provide gift certificates to those. This looks like a rooming house for the travelers. So back in the 1600s, when you lived, worked, and played all in the same house, a house much like that, sometimes on a cold, rainy night, there would be a knock on the door, and you would go to the door and say, "Who's knocking, please?" And the reply you would get would be, "This is a traveler." "Oh my gosh, a traveler." And you open the door, and he says, "Please, please, if you could give me a meal, I will tell you about the things I have seen in my travels." And you say, "Oh, yes, yes, by all means, come in, please. We don't have, they haven't invented television yet. Please come tell us about your travels." And you would light a candle and eat some sort of wheat product that you had grown on the homestead. And the traveler would tell you about things happening about 5 miles away in the next village. And you would say, "Wow, that sounds amazing. I hope someday I can see that village 5 miles away, but probably not, since I have to work the homestead." And then eventually the traveler would, weary of how boring you were, and excuse himself from the table and go out and jump back on his horse and get out. And that's how things worked back then. Today, of course, we're not riding on horses anymore. We have the mighty Route 2 in Connecticut, just a few hundred yards from the mighty Interstate Route 395. And yes, you are correct. Interstate, as in FDR's interstate system, still going strong in 2023. Yes, today is April 1st, 2023. So if there's any inaccuracies detected in this motion picture, you should just chalk it up to an April Fool's joke and leave it at that. Okay, that concludes this episode of Points of Interest Across America. I am David Lyons, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care.